CGT discount. So currently you can get a 50% CGT discount for any asset that you hold more than 12 months if you hold that individually or in a trust. Proposed change from July next year, 50% discount will be replaced by an indexation system, but only for gains that accrue after July next year. So if you've owned a property for 10 years, they want the 50% discount to apply to the gain up to 30 June 2027, and then indexation to apply on the gain after that point. And this applies also to pre-CGT assets. So something that you've owned before 1985 will be exempt from, whenever you owned it up until June 2027, but after that time also will become taxable, which is pretty surprising change. Exception to this, new residential property, you can still choose a 50% discount if you like. So the policy of this says returning to indexation based on CPI aligns the intent of the CGT regime and supports productivity by ensuring investment decisions are taken for economic reasons, not due to tax outcomes. And I mean, that does make sense to me, but it is very complicated to do an indexation calculation, and especially when it's mixed with a discount calculation as well. So here's an example of Ellie purchasing her rental property in August 2011 for $600,000, then she sells it in April 2030 for $1.7 million. So she's going to get that 50% discount method from 2011 to 2027, and then from 2027 to 2030, it's on indexation. So you have to work out what is the value at June 2027. Now there's two ways that you can work out that value. One, you can get a valuation. So this is not the point in time where I introduce our new service of Hoffman property valuations, but there will be a lot of work in that area. The second way is you can use an ATO apportionment formula, which they haven't provided yet, but I think it's going to be based on like an inflation rate over the time period that you own the asset. So in this calculation, it really depends how valuable the property is at June 27, and you probably want that value as high as possible to get the lowest gain. How do you work out indexation if you're trying to do it yourself? Well, there are CPI tables that are published. This was an example that I looked at from, if we'd purchased something in 2014, sold it in 2025, you work out what the number is in 2014, work out what it is in 2025, divide and multiply. Now, this will never actually happen using these dates because the base value is always going to be June 27, and then you'll be working out the future date after that. But these calculations, you look at these tables as to what the CPI is at each quarter in which you'd purchased or sold the asset. It's not that simple. So important points, I think, to note about discount and indexation calculations. The valuation will be really key. So for shares or crypto or something like that, hope for high values next June. Especially something that's really volatile. If that value is low, you'll miss out on a lot of discount because of that. For properties, you will have to get it valued. We'll be able to assist with somebody to help you with that. And for businesses, if it's a business valuation, we could assist with that business valuation. I think you have to do the calculation under both methods, so using actual valuation or the ATO apportionment, and choose the best one. And for a new residential property where there's a choice of 50% discount or indexation, you may choose indexation if you have losses carried forward, because that can often be better to use up fewer losses, which we used to do all the time when indexation was in. I also think you should probably reconsider any dividend reinvestment plans that you have, because this makes an extremely complicated indexation calculation where you're going over 40 quarters for a very low value share purchase each time in the cost base.